Good morning, everybody. Okay, we'll bring the meeting to order, thank you. Welcome everyone to May's Cabinet meeting. You will all have noticed that there is a different White sat in the chair. Our leader, Alan White, is representing the county at the UK Real Estate Infrastructure and Investment Forum in sunny Leeds. So he's living the high life, representing the county and bringing investment home to Staffordshire. We hope. So as Deputy Leader, I'm in the chair today. We'll begin with apologies for absence, and we have the leader, Alan White. Do we have any other apologies for absence? We have none. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 2, declarations of interest in accordance with Standing Order number 16. Do we have any declarations of interest? I'm looking around the room and I don't see any. Okay. Item number 3, decision notice of the meeting of Cabinet held on the 20th of April 2022. Colleagues, you've all had a chance to take a look at the minutes. Are they a true reflection of the meeting? Okay, moved, seconded. Okay, those are approved. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4, which is the leader's update. Now, I'm going to be very careful with this update, colleagues, as it's been written for the leader, and it does include a mention of him participating in Ironman in a few weeks' time, where I will most definitely not be saying that I will be participating in it. We will move on through the update now. So, colleagues, thousands of people have turned out for more than 40 events on Staffordshire Day on the 1st of May to celebrate our great county. The Great Outdoors was the theme for this year, and that saw a lot of events, particularly a very popular art and film competition, many local markets, promotions and more. The leader and I were very pleased to join more than 20 businesses to fly the Staffordshire flag at a showcase event in the Houses of Parliament a week earlier as well. We were delighted with the event, and particularly pleased that the Speaker of the House of Commons, Lindsay Hoyle, came to enjoy it with us. We've also been delighted with the way that people have rallied to the Staffordshire Day cause both this year and over the last 6 years, and I'm very pleased to say that it's now a well-established event celebrating everything that's great about Staffordshire, and we look forward to next year's event as well. We're also having a busy month of celebrations relating to the Jubilee, and also we're looking forward to the Staffordshire Ironman event on the 12th of June, where the leader will once again be donning his lycra and taking part. The Commonwealth Games are on the horizon as well, and we'll be welcoming the Queen's Baton Relay in advance to a number of our towns, which we're very excited to be able to do. So there are plenty of opportunities for Staffordshire people to come together and celebrate after 2 difficult years. The sun is shining outside, colleagues, and the sun is certainly shining in Staffordshire as we move towards summer. Despite these happy events, colleagues will be aware of the challenges that we have at the moment in Staffordshire, as in the rest of the country and the world indeed, with the cost of living. And it is important that we are mindful that there are many families and individuals who, through no fault of their own, are struggling with the rising cost of living, from energy bills and petrol prices to the weekly shop. Over the coming months, the County Council will be delivering £5.5 million worth of support to the households most in need. This includes food vouchers and activities for school children, financial support for care leavers, and help with energy bills for pensioners. And I'm sure you'll all agree that those are very important initiatives where the County Council can help people where it counts the most. I urge people to look on our website for details of how those and other schemes, such as the Staffordshire Warmer Homes Fund, can provide help for them or for people that matter to them. It is very important. While many of Staffordshire's big businesses are globally renowned, with many household names amongst them, small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy. So another thing that I'd like to highlight today is the success of our Ignite programme, which has seen more than 11,000 final year college students receive training in entrepreneurialism and how to set up their own businesses. The Ignite programme is one of a kind in the country at the moment, and it's something that we hope that other parts of the country will take up. And it's encouraging people, no matter what their age, to think about what they can do to set up their own business and become employers themselves in the future. It's a 5-day course. It's truly fantastic and something for us to be proud of here in Staffordshire. That scheme is part of our £3.4 million Staffordshire Means Back to Business programme, which has supported existing businesses as well, It supports job seekers and those budding entrepreneurs. It's been ongoing during the pandemic, and it's something that we will continue whilst we see other challenges in our economy. Earlier this year, Cabinet agreed that fixing Staffordshire's roads was a top priority, and we committed an additional £15.5 million of spend this year alone for road repairs. And I'd like to tell you about one or two of the results of that we're already seeing. So this month, we've seen almost 1,500 potholes being fixed, with our crews ramping up their maintenance work. And this will continue throughout the spring and summer. You can expect to see more of our people on the roads fixing more problems as the year goes on. This is in addition to gully cleaning and surface dressing, which is where we are repairing the surface of a road and prolonging its life on our 6,000 kilometres of highways, and we will see more of both of those things as well. The rising cost of materials is posing a serious challenge, but extra investment and new ways of working will make sure that we do keep our residents and businesses on the move. Finally, colleagues, it was announced last week that Johnny McMahon will be stepping down from this cabinet. When the leader asked Johnny to join the cabinet to lead on public health, it was in the teeth of the pandemic, and we all knew that we had the right person for the job. Through his health background, he brought an understanding of the NHS, but also a real understanding and compassion for the impact of the virus and other health issues on our residents and on people working tirelessly to protect them. His work has helped strengthen our health and care provision, working across the county, and both I and the leader, and I'm sure all of Cabinet, would like to thank Johnny for his hard work and sterling effort. He'll be continuing as a county councillor, so I know that the people of Hensford and Rawnsley will be very glad that they will still have him looking after their issues, and we look forward to his contributions in our council going forwards. Colleagues, that's the leader's update. I think I avoided committing to doing Ironman. Okay. So, item 5 on our agenda is minutes of the meeting of the Property Subcommittee held on the 4th of May 2022. Thank you very much. Moved and seconded. Okay, and that means that we're back to me. Next item on the agenda is the Staffordshire Means Back to Business update. So, as I mentioned in the leader's statement, we are facing a time of in recent times unprecedented global difficulties, both caused by rises in commodity prices due to the unlocking of the global economy after the pandemic, but also the challenges that have been caused by the conflict in Ukraine. Our focus as a county council is on the things where we can have a positive impact in terms of jobs, incomes, and the vitality of our businesses. And I can reaffirm that we are very confident that Staffordshire is a strong place, in a strong place to grow and develop through the challenges of this current climate of economic uncertainty, and working hard to make sure that our economy does grow and that we remove the barriers that are there preventing that growth is our focus. The strength and confidence in our local economy, I think, is well illustrated by the development of the Pets at Home HQ a few miles away from here on the edge of Stafford. And I'm pleased to say that I was able to visit that site last week, and it's impressive to see how quickly that building, which was commenced earlier this year, has gone up. And also, it has to be said, the housing next door to it. Staffordshire is a growing place, and it's good to see both businesses and new people moving into our area to live. And I think that illustrates the strength of that economy. And there are 800 jobs coming into that site, and they will include all of the head office functions for that business. It's good to see businesses like that investing here. A key part of a successful economy is the skills of our employees. And in the leader's statement, I referred to the Ignite scheme, which is part of our Staffordshire Means Back to Business programme. The key parts of that initiative are to improve the skills of our population and to ensure that we are a place where businesses can come and invest and bring those higher skilled functions, such as head offices. And I will be discussing that in more detail as the year goes on, particularly discussing our jobs brokerage scheme, which aims to link people with employment in Staffordshire in a more sophisticated way, and also to discuss our community learning programme in a little more detail, particularly the government's new Multiply scheme, which aims to improve the numeracy of people who perhaps did not have success in their school careers or who want to improve their numeracy going forwards. We have £4.2 million to deliver that programme in Staffordshire over the next 3 years, and I will be bringing further details back to Cabinet about that in due course. We're fortunate that we have low unemployment in Staffordshire, and I will come on to discuss the current figures in a moment. But we can't be complacent about that, and those skills are the most important way that we can ensure that our employees are attractive employees, and businesses want to come here and employ them going forwards. In terms of trends, I'm pleased to say that our unemployment rate remains very low in Staffordshire. Our claimant rate currently stands at 2.9% of our working age population, and that's below a regional rate of 5.1% and a national rate of 4%. Within that, I'm particularly pleased to say that the proportion of young people aged 18 to 24 who are claiming universal credit has decreased further. When I last discussed this figure at Cabinet, it stood at 4.3%. It now stands at 4.1%. And the initiatives that we're taking are focused on making sure that all of our people, but particularly our young people, have access to good jobs and have good opportunities in the future. Colleagues, I'll take any questions you have. Mr. DeVille.
Thank you, Chairman. Concur totally with your comments on Johnny McMahon, Chairman. I think his knowledge and his support and his sheer hard work have been a tremendous asset to us and the people of Staffordshire during some fairly difficult times. Well, some very difficult times in the last 2 years. So agree totally, and thanks from all of us to Johnny for the work that he's done. Happily, Chairman, those difficult times are behind us now, and there's a real sense of optimism, isn't there, around the county at the moment with the forthcoming Queen's Baton for the Commonwealth Games, which I'm delighted to say is also going through the Staffordshire Moorlands, with the forthcoming events for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. A real sense of good feeling within the county and optimism within the county. And I'm particularly interested and positive, Chairman, around your comments on the Ignite scheme. I think that's great. You know, anything that we do to support young people in getting better jobs has got to be positive. I think the fact that we're looking at encouraging young people to maybe look outside the box of employment a little bit and look at maybe setting up their own company, future entrepreneurism, is really positive. So the update that you've just given us, Chairman, I think just enhances the message that Staffordshire is a great place to live and a great place to work and indeed a great place to play. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. DeVille. Mr. Parry. Well, I was looking in this direction, so I saw you first.
I'm looking at, yeah. I detect actually, you know, in the media, there's quite a bit of negativity, isn't there, in terms of talking down the economy with inflation and costs of energy and certainly the pressures on household bills at the moment, which is real, it's genuine, and these are real concerns that politicians at every level should have, and we do have. But I don't think it serves anyone well to talk the economy down and talk of recession and things like that. I don't think that serves us. So I'm grateful for your upbeat message in terms of all the positive aspects of what's happening here in Staffordshire. If you walk into our chamber here, you'll see in every corner the 4 pillars, if you like, of the traditional industries of Staffordshire, of which, you know, if in a sense we put all our eggs into 4 baskets, really, didn't we, in Staffordshire? And I guess that served the place well in the steady state economy of that time. But I think the strength now of Staffordshire is its diversity in its economy, in that, you know, there is always somewhere where there's new investment, new companies or businesses starting, new businesses coming into the area. And if you look across our economy, you know, it really is from, you know, high-end electronics to equipment manufacture to all of the new sort of technologies around software, IT, and other technology areas. So that, I think, is the great strength, and that's why I think we maintain that low job seekers allowance record, that we are below the region, below the nation. In that, Staffordshire does offer those opportunities for investment and growth, and we're seeing that. We're seeing it at every stage almost buck the trend and doing well. So I think your message this morning of highlighting those areas where new investments come into the county and initiatives such as Ignite, which, as everyone says, is really important for sources of new entrepreneurship, of employment in the future, of growth. Really positive and really important, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. I think the double-hander over the last few years of supporting our people through the pandemic, but also supporting our businesses has been the key. And the key now is that we keep our focus on doing those things, and that focus on having high-quality, high-skilled jobs and having more businesses that can provide those jobs is really important going forward. So thank you for highlighting those things. I've got Councillor Jessel and then Councillor Tagg.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. I would agree with Ian that we have to be very careful we don't talk ourselves into a recession. In the media, everything is in a crisis. Well, I think it's all relative. When you look at what's happening in Ukraine, when you hear that India now has banned exports of grain, obviously the Ukraine war will have an impact on grain supplies. Crisis is going to hit the Middle East and Asia, and that will be a crisis. And I think internationally that's going to be a major problem of food shortage. In this country, we're going to all have to tighten our belts, some more than others. But actually, John Tradewell and myself attended an ambassador event a couple of weeks ago at Denston Hall Farm. And I can recommend being a Staffordshire ambassador to all my cabinet colleagues. It really is good. And it just showed how small businesses during the pandemic used their skills, their energy, their innovation, not only to survive, but actually thrive. And I think that's part of the strength of this economy, that we have got those people. And I sat there next to John, feeling very proud that actually there are people, and these were people who were in the food and the leisure industry, that actually, through really tough times, came out of it far stronger. And it was really good to feel that energy. Now, I think in terms of we're all going to tighten our belts. I filled my car up this morning and it was a bit eye-watering. But, you know, I think, unfortunately, we've been through a tough 2 years. We all started to breathe a sigh of relief, and now it's going to get tough again. But I've got confidence that there are those people out there that won't be beaten, that actually this will probably help to drive Simon's agenda of climate change, because we're all going to have to save on energy, one way or another. And I think where this economy is in Staffordshire, we're well placed to do that. So I would just say I hope we keep an eye on that leisure industry, which employs a lot of people within the UK and within Staffordshire, because when people tighten their belts, that's the first thing that goes, is your leisure and recreation. So I think that might be the bellwether of where things are going. In terms of Johnny McMahon, I can't not let the opportunity go. For the 12 months I've done this role, I've been privileged to have two very committed, very intelligent and articulated men each side of me. That's one, and Johnny was the other one, Richard. If he's probably thinking, what on earth is she on about? But seriously, I have been privileged to have that kind of support. They're both very professional people. I shall miss Johnny. I shall miss his sense of humour. I won't miss watching him eat nothing other than rabbit food continuously. But at least I shan't feel quite so overweight against him. But he's a tremendous asset in the role that he has done and will continue to be for the community he represents. But as I say, I feel very privileged to have been supported by him, and wish him well with a little bit more time that he may have on his hands now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jessel. Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. Yes, I'd like to echo the comments from Julia there, and I've enjoyed working with Johnny the past year and wish him all the best for the future. On the issue we're discussing, I think it's been eloquently put across by a lot of members, so I won't repeat that. But I think if the the world is entering choppy waters, but I think we in Staffordshire have got some good things going for us with all of the government investment that's coming in town deals and Future High Streets Fund. We heard just recently about the £30 million plus coming in through the Shared Prosperity Fund. And I think what we must do is ensure that when when we have developments, when we have regeneration, that we use local tradesmen and tradeswomen for that. And I think that's one of the key parts of the town deals, is that we do use that so that money from those developments stays locally in the supply chain, etc., which will help our local businesses and our town centre regeneration programmes as well. And also we've got in Kidsgrove the sports centre will be finally opening in the summer. That will be employing local people, facility for local people, and I'd just like to again thank the County Council for its involvement in that project, which made it possible by allowing the site to be obviously given to the community group on a lease, and also for the initial funding which helped to kickstart the regeneration. So I think we'll begin to see the benefits of that, not only for local people through their health improvements, but also through their job opportunities as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. There are no other contributions. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, which is the Household Support Fund, with Councillor Mark Sutton.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And as you outlined in your opening statement, this summer, Staffordshire County Council will be distributing £5.5 million to help families with young children and older people with the cost of living. Having successfully distributed millions of pounds worth of support in the last 2 years, we know from the stories people tell us that this support really makes a difference in their lives. Thousands of people will benefit in the next few months from help with their food, fuel and water bills, including the families of 27,000 children as part of the Holiday Activity and Food Programme. So a little bit of the detail. In March, the DWP announced an extension to the Household Fund grant, which we made available to county councils and unitaries across England to support those most in need. And this scheme runs until the 30th of September. The County Council has discretion on exactly how the funding is used, targeting support within the scope of the conditions set out by the DWP. At least 1/3 of the total funding must be spent on families, with 1/3 being spent on pensioners. So the details of how we intend to split that funding. The first section is the Education Support Fund. So it is proposed to continue to provide families of children who are in receipt of benefit-related free school meals a £15 e-voucher per child for the May half term, which will be on top of us very shortly. And it is also proposed to provide a £30 e-voucher for 2 weeks of the summer holidays, when there is no provision for the Holiday Activity and Food Programme, which will run for the other 4 weeks of the school holidays. Children currently receiving universal free school meals who would be entitled to benefit-related free school meals, early years children who receive Think 2 funding and early years pupil premium will also be included in this proposal. The next part will be our proposal to issue all Staffordshire care leavers with a £50 e-voucher. The next part is the proposed financial assistance grant scheme. And the County Council is working with district and borough councils and other partners to explore the delivery model for a financial assistance grant scheme. The scheme will seek to ensure that support gets to those who need it as quickly as possible, and will include families with and without children. And the scheme will be directly target those in most need. And full details of that are within the paper. And the last section of the spend will be the proposed warmth project. So that's to build on the current and previous winter warmth project. The County Council is working with Beat the Cold and the Staffordshire Community Foundation to develop a warmth project for 2022. So that's the details of where we propose to allocate and spend the money. I can read the recommendations now or take questions.
We'll take questions and I'll ask you to read the recommendations afterwards. So thank you for that, Councillor Sutton. It's a continuation of a successful scheme and an evolution of it, isn't it? It is important that we are able to continue to deliver these schemes to the people who need it the most. Thank you for bringing that to us. Do I have any questions or comments, colleagues? Just looking around the room. No, silence. Okay, in that case, we will move to the recommendations, please.
Recommendation A, I recommend that Cabinet acknowledge the anticipated receipt of £5,506,547.99 from the Department of Works and Pensions, DWP, in relation to the Household Support Fund. B, approve the high-level proposals for the usage of the HSF in Staffordshire. C, delegate authority to the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People in consultation with the Deputy Chief Executive and Director for Families and Communities to decide the delivery and eligibility criteria for distribution of the HSF in Staffordshire, and to take all other subsequent decisions to ensure that this support gets to those who need it as quickly as possible. This includes any decisions in respect of extensions to the scheme or additional funding, ensuring Cabinet are fully briefed on any such extensions on spending. D, acknowledges that the delegation to the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People includes authorising the County Council to enter required contractual arrangements with partners and providers where required to deliver the HSF in Staffordshire. And E, approves the extension of current commissioning arrangements with Beat the Cold and the Community Foundation of Staffordshire for a further 6 months on existing terms and conditions to administer the warmth project.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Colleagues, is that agreed? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 8, Staffordshire Better Care Fund 2021 to 23. And with the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Jessel.
Thank you very much, Chairman. The Better Care Fund supports the ongoing integration of health and social care. We've made great progress with this fund in the last few years. For example, strengthening our Home First reablement services to support people to return home from hospital. And we'll continue to use the Better Care Fund to improve and integrate services for our residents to support the most vulnerable in our county. The Better Care Fund policy framework sets out 4 key aims. It is a jointly agreed plan between health and social care, and that is signed off by the Health and Wellbeing Board. It is the NHS contribution towards adult social care, invests in NHS commissioned out of hospital services, and improves outcomes for discharged patients. Within Staffordshire, there are 3 key priorities. Support hospital discharge, for example, the Home First scheme, and following both acute episodes of physical and mental health problems. Home care to build additional capacity, and for care homes to support provider improvements response team to improve the quality of care within care homes. The Better Care Fund 2021-22 plan was approved, but now there is an additional 19.25 million of non-recurrent funding. The proposed expenditure is set out on table 2 of the report, and on table 1 is the original approved plan. The Better Care Fund guidance for 22-23 has not yet been published, but certain assumptions are being made that the expenditure will continue as agreed in the 2021 budget, but with inflationary uplifts. Within the report also there is a section on disabled facilities grants. This is funding that we receive from central government together with the allocation for districts and borough councils. This funding supports adaptations of homes to enable people to live within their homes as independently as possible. I have to say, when you look at the allocations, I'm yet to understand fully the criteria. Tamworth, unfortunately, seems to get quite a low proportion, yet has not a significantly less population. But this is something that we are tasked with doing. We, in effect, passport this money through. We understand that there, as at the moment, some underspends on this fund up to the end of May 22. And I understand that there were some delays to schemes being implemented because of COVID and unable to access people's homes, but that is now being addressed. But I equally understand that some of the districts and boroughs are looking at how they deliver this service and potentially bringing some of the services back in-house. It is important that this money is spent. It does enable people, as I say, to live as independently as possible in their own homes. And I am reassured that the districts and boroughs are doing everything they can to do that. But I know the leader of the council is quite keen to raise this at leaders' meetings to ensure that county-wide, county districts and boroughs work as closely together to make sure that these funds are utilised in the most cost-effective and timely way. It is important that people get these adaptations as quickly as possible. So that's the two main issues within the report. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, Chairman, I'll read out the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Jessel. And as you've rightly said, this is in part a progress report. It's the 21 to 23 programme. You've also highlighted the fact that the funding that we are looking to agree to here, we're passporting to our district and borough colleagues. But crucially, you've highlighted the fact that we work together through our leaders board to make sure that all of our local authorities coordinate that spend and all of our activities, along with working with our colleagues in the NHS. That's hard work. It is an enormous system, is it not? The parts of it sometimes do grind against each other a little bit. So I think it's really important that as local authorities we're making sure that our part of that system does work really efficiently. And I think that makes decisions about passporting much more comfortable ones when we are passing funds out of this authority elsewhere. I'll open up the floor to discussion from others before I ask you to read the recommendations. Councillor Sutton.
Not so much a question, just a point I wanted to highlight. And colleagues will see in the spend, the additional money that's been allocated there. There is 1.5 million towards children's services, and officers are working closely on how the best way to allocate that funding is to achieve the outcomes and the criteria that's set within the Better Care Fund.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Price.
That particular area that Mark discussed as well, the scheme description, also talks about the education banding tool, which is something that was mentioned in the green paper, or the Centre Green paper, where the government were very keen to see a more fairer system. I'm really pleased to say that Staffordshire has already rolled out that education banding tool. And I've also invited the DFE, who are very keen to come and have a look at the work that we are doing as an authority, because I think we're quite far ahead on that point.
Thank you, Councillor Price. Very good point. Okay, anything else from anyone else? No? Okay, we're back with you for the recommendations, Councillor Jones.
Right, the recommendations are, I recommend that Cabinet note the progress of the 2021-22 Staffordshire Better Care Fund plan and the associated funding. Note the transfer of the 2021-22 Disabled Facilities Grant to the District and Borough Councils as required by the Government. Note that the Health and Wellbeing Board is required to approve the 2022-23 Staffordshire Better Care Fund plan. Delegate authority to the Director of Health and Care to enter into legal agreements under Section 75 of the NHS Act 2006 for the 2021 and 2022 and 2022 and 2023 in order to implement the respective Better Care Plan funds.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jessel.
I so move.
Colleagues, are we all in agreement? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 9, which is decisions taken by Cabinet members under delegated powers. So there were 3 decisions taken since the last Cabinet meeting. The first of those was a decision by the Cabinet member for Education and Send in approving the awards of the High Needs Provision Capital Allocation funding to 5 schools selected to deliver new places and improve existing provision in education settings for children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities within Staffordshire, and to complete any grant funding or other agreements required to provide that funding and deliver the HNPCA projects. That's the High Needs Provision Capital Allocation funding projects. Second, again by the Cabinet Member for Education and Send in approving the accessibility strategy for implementation by the County Council and across Staffordshire schools. And third, by the Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport in approving the allocation of £2.5 million to the delivery of the Chetwynd Bridge refurbishment scheme and to progress site investigation and preliminary design of the Moss Pit footbridge, School Lane footbridge, Chetwynd Bridge, Bundhurst Bridge and Stafford Railway Bridge schemes. Some very welcome initiatives there. Councillor Price, you're indicating.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. I know these are on decisions that have already been made. I just wanted to point out on the first item, which is a high needs provisional capital allocation funding. I thought it'd be worth saying a few words because I think it's some really good work that we do as an authority. Looking in the Sen Green paper, which I mentioned earlier, which is currently out for consultation, it talks about making sure that they set out proposals for a system that offers a child and young person the opportunity to thrive with access to the right support in the right place and at the right time. And about the right place is where we are with this provision. My ethos and this council's ethos that all children with moderate learning or disability should be able to gain a proper and full education in a mainstream setting. But where you're not able to do that, we need to make sure that our alternative provision and our special school provision is in place. So Staffordshire County Council received high needs provision capital allocation funding from the government in 21-22, and the aim of this funding is to deliver new places and improve existing provision in education settings for children and young people with SEND and pupils that require alternative provision. Education settings were invited to apply for the funding following a robust application, evaluation and moderation process, and a delegated decision has been made to award the 5 schools across the county. And I just want to pay tribute to the staff and teachers within the special school provision as well, because they do an absolutely outstanding job, and as other teachers were as well through the pandemic, were working hard. I had the pleasure of visiting the Fountains High School and the primary school last week to see the work that was being done there, and they are doing an absolutely fantastic job to make sure that we get the best possible outcomes for the most vulnerable learners that we have within our community. Thank you, Leader, or Deputy Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Price. Yeah, I mean, your point about the importance of right-sizing our education provision is one that I'm glad you made. It is really important that whilst we want as many children as possible, including moderate learners, to be in mainstream school provision, we need the right special school provision. I grew up about 3 minutes walk away from Fountains School, and as that will tell you, it's been doing a great job for a very long time. and I'm glad that you had a chance to go and have a look at what they're doing there, one of many great special schools we have. Thank you, colleagues. Right, moving on to the forward plan of key decisions. And it looks like we have a busy June meeting coming up. So we have the Corporate Delivery Plan 2022-23 with Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, Councillor Parry, the Digital Connectivity in Staffordshire programme with the Cabinet Member for Environment, Infrastructure and Climate Change, Councillor Tagg, the Staffordshire Sustainability Board Vision and Council Commitments, again with Councillor Tagg, the final financial outturn 2021-22 with Councillor Parry, the mobilisation of Staffordshire's household waste recycling centres with the Cabinet Member for Commercial Matters, Councillor DeVille, and Councillor Tagg again, the extension to Newcastle Enterprise Centre with me in my guise as the Cabinet Member for Economy and Skills, and then moving on into the July meeting, if we've all survived the June one, we have the North Staffordshire Local Air Quality Plan with the Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport, Councillor Williams, the Enhanced Delivery Model for Home Care with the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Jessel, and then moving on into September, we have the Families Health and Wellbeing 0 to 19 years service from April 2024 with the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, Councillor Sutton. The Family Hub Model, again with Councillor Sutton. Section 75 Agreement for Adult Social Care Assessment and Case Management and Occupational Therapy in Staffordshire with Councillor Jessel. And finally, I think, the Adult Social Care Reform Implementation Plan, again with Councillor Jessel. Colleagues, that's our forward plan. So we're keeping busy. Okay, that brings me on to item 11, which is the exclusion of the public, as this is the end of the public part of the meeting. I move that the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business, which involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraphs of Part 1 of Schedule 12A, as amended of the Local Government Act 1972, indicated below. Thank you very much, colleagues.